Welcome to the Richard Lloyd YouTube channel. I'm Richard Lloyd. Today I'm going to be rescuing a DLINK router, specifically a DIR/868 router, this lovely device right here. It's a great little router. Very happy with it, but I noticed that I've never done a DLINK rescue video for a router, so I'm going to do one today for this router. And I found out in the process of doing this that DLINK has one of the nicer recovery procedures out of all routers, in my view, because it's very simple and it works. So that's what you want, simple and works. Okay, I'm going to put links to everything I do in this video in the video description below, like the hardware that I used, the firmware, where to go get the firmware, and so on. And some of those links are affiliate links, which means that if you click on those links to go buy that stuff in, let's say, Amazon or eBay, I get a small portion of the sale. Now, that doesn't cost you any extra to do so. It costs the same whether you buy it from my link or from Amazon's link. So do me a big favor and use those links to buy your things so that I can get a little bit of cash out of that deal and continue to keep doing this, this journey on YouTube. And I appreciate all your comments in the comments section below, video suggestions and so on. Put them down there. I do read them, and I do frequently make videos from those suggestions. Also, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, give me a likes up on, give me a like, click on this down here as well. And if you want to see further videos from me in the future, subscribe and hit the bell notification button as well. That way you'll be notified every time I put a new video, and then you can watch it at your own leisure. So let's get on to the hardware configuration, how you have to set up this router physically to make this happen, and then we'll get on with the rest. Here are the things you're going to need to rescue this router and any DLINK router. You're going to need a toothpick. This is what I call the reset tool. It's of course made out of wood, therefore it's non-conductive. It's softer than metal as well, so if you mess up, you're less likely to hurt things, and it can't short anything inside the router. So, and you'll see why that is when I show you how to reset the router, which we'll do shortly. We're going to use an Ethernet cable like this. This is a patch cable. It came with the actual router itself. Most routers come with one. I'm going to use this to connect the router to the computer, and this computer has an Ethernet port which will look like this. And if you don't have an Ethernet port for your laptop or your computer, you can buy a little unit like this for under $15 on Amazon and or eBay, and fix yourself up, and then you'll have an Ethernet connection for whatever device you're going to connect it into, PC or laptop. I'm using Windows 10 on this machine, and that's fine, and that'll work no problem. The nice thing about the DLINK router rescue is that it works on a web page. So any computer that you have that you can configure the network settings on, whether it's Linux or Mac or Microsoft, it'll work, because the rescue procedure actually comes up on a browser, on a web page, which makes the DLINK, as far as I'm concerned, one of the nicer rescue options there is, because it does not include having to use a TFTP server. Again, maybe too much information, but it doesn't matter. What it means is that it's easier than most. So we're going to take the Ethernet cable, in my case, plug it into the Ethernet port on my laptop. If you're using a PC, there's one on the back if you have Ethernet. If not, like I said, get the Ethernet adapter, USB Ethernet adapter, there we go, which is right here. And I'll put links to this stuff in the video description below. As I said, affiliate links, they help me out, they don't cost you a cent. On the back of the router, you'll see a bunch of ports. One is colored yellow. Usually in most DLINK routers, one is a different color, but look for internet or WAN. Don't plug into that. We're going to plug into port 1 here, as far away from it as possible. There we go. All right, and now you've done the physical connection. So now we're looking at the bottom of the router, and you can see that it's not really all that evident where the reset is, but there it is right there, reset. And it's that little hole right here above the reset on the plastic on the bottom of the router. Different routers will have them in different places. And like I said, this rescue procedure applies to a whole bunch of D-Link products, and I'll put a list of that in the video description below, as well as links to all the hardware and stuff I'm using here. And yes, we're using the toothpick because, as you can see, there's all sorts of places here where you could go wrong, and you know, wood is non-conductive. So the power's off right now. What we're going to do is we're going to press down on the actual reset, and it says to do that for 5 seconds before you turn the power on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. On the back, on this router, I'm just going to hit the power button there, and as you will see, this is kind of a trick to do while holding it down. There we go. You'll see the power lights start flashing amber. Now I'm going to let that flash about 10 times, which is around 10 seconds really. It flashes about every 10 seconds or so. So after that's done, the router will be in a in its native rescue mode with a web page, serving out a web page to do the rescue. So now we'll go back to the computer and rescue this router. At this point, you should have your router and physically connected to your computer, and with the amber light flashing after holding down the reset button for 5 seconds and powering it up, and continuing to hold the, well, in my case, toothpick down on the reset button for another 10 seconds till the amber light flashes constantly. So connected to the computer, flashing amber light, ready to go. So next, we're going to set up the network configuration on your computer. Okay, we've got the router set up in the correct way. Next thing we need to do is get the firmware for the router so that we can get it flashed up. Now, I understand here that if your router is, you know, in a brick state or not working state, you can't go out to the internet to get your stuff and to get the firmware for it. I suggest at that point, go visit a friend and download the file onto a thumb drive like this. Actually, this one's pretty cool in a lot of ways because this is also an on-the-go thumb drive. So what that means is I can plug this drive into my phone and download it on the phone, transfer the files from the phone to this drive, and then plug that in on this end into my computer and have the firmware in my computer. So that's another option if you have an on-the-go USB thumb drive. And I'll put a link to this one on video description below. It's pretty cool, actually. And so there's another option, right? Get it from somewhere, bring it, and rock and roll. One more. I'll give you another suggestion. Turn your hotspot on your phone, connect to the internet through the hotspot on your computer or laptop, and download it that way. So that gives you another option, okay? So pretty cool. That's probably the easiest if you don't have internet connectivity, to use the hotspot on your phone and download it. You know, again, on you. That might cost you, I don't know, but it fixes your router, that's great. So we're on the internet. That's not an issue here. So as you can see here, so we're going to go get the firmware. Let's open up the browser and go get it. Let's go here. And there's the old, let's go home here. That's the old, okay, so we're going to go here, just type in, that's what the router looks like when it's working, but these are cache pages, so it doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do here is do a search for D-Link firmware download. Okay, so you can use Bing, you can use Google, whatever. So D-Link firmware and download in the search. Then we're going to go here to, okay, one of these should be a download. Oh yeah, this one here, supportdlink.com//download. So we're going to go there. And then you get this screen. Now, the weird thing about D-Link is that they've split their router family in two. They've got legacy routers and they've got current routers, and they only support, so they say, current routers. So unfortunately for me, this 868L is a legacy device, and you can see that by going to this website, which is the D-Link legacy website. Now also down here, if you have a chance, take a look through. There's all sorts of announcements on what's going on, updates and so on over here. So that might be something you want to browse through. But where we're going is to the D-Link legacy website, which is right here in the yellow, okay? Like I said, it's listed in the product site, no longer receive firmware updates. Well, okay, let's go look. So we go to the legacy website, and you know, it's a huge list, and you can go looking through it and, you know, find it that way. But best way to do a search on a web page is to hit the control key. So hold down the control key, hit the F key at the same time, and then you get the search box. So control, hold it down, and then hit the F key. You get the find box on the side. And mine's an 868, so I'll just type in 868, and it takes you right to it on the web page. You don't have to search for it or anything. So that's a little tip. Use the search feature. It's really nice. So we're going to go to the 868L. So click on it. Here's a bunch of stuff about it. And here, you know, doesn't really matter. What we need to go to here is to download. Go to download. And then here we have a list of things. You have the end of notice support. Doesn't matter. And then you have two directories, Rev A and Rev B. Now, what that is revision A and revision B. Mine's a revision A, so we're going to go there. Here's all the manuals and stuff for the router. If you want to look at those later and read them and, you know, go through the procedures on how to handle your router, it's all right here. But we're going for firmware. And in here you'll see that there is what, about 11 or 12. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 12 or 13 anyways, firmwares. But the one that really matters here, the one that we're going to use, and I suggest strongly that you use, is the number 1. The oldest firmware on any router you're trying to rescue is usually the safest one to put in, because it worked. It worked on day 1, and they let it ship with that. So more than likely, it's going to be good, right? So go with that, the first one. Now, if you want to come back after you've got it up and running, you can upgrade it to any one you want, right? And if you see here, you'll see that there's 2 firmwares here that are hot fixes, and they don't install the same way as the other ones do, but they do have instructions on how to install them in each one of these zip files. And that's the other thing. It's a zip file. It's a compressed file. The router can't see as a compressed file, so I'll show you how to handle that next. So let's download the firmware 1.0, and I'm going to save it as somewhere, and I've obviously already downloaded it. I've got it in my download folder and under DLINK 868L. And just to not do it and be brief, I'm going to hit cancel here, but you would hit save and it would save, okay? So now we're going to go to that folder and just say open the file. And again, here we are, right? We're on the bin file, which is this is the firmware, but notice here that it says extract all here. That means it's actually a firmware file. It's a zip file, sorry. It is a firmware file, but it's a zipped firmware file. So we're going to go downloads again. I'm going to go back to the DLINK folder, right? And now you can see it all. And that is the zip file here, and that is the extracted zip file. So what you do is you click on the zip file here, double click on it, opens up, then you click extract all. In my case, it's already been done. So it'll probably say, do you want to overwrite? So let's do that, but you won't have to. Extract, yeah, I'm going to say replace the file in the destination. There it goes. So now in your folder where you downloaded the zip file, you'll have, after extracting it all, like it says, after hitting this button, you'll have a directory with the same name. Double click it, and then you have a bin file. So now you have the binary file or the bin file, which is the firmware for the router. You're ready to almost ready to put it into the router. All right, so currently my router is in the rescue mode with the flashing amber light. Next thing we need to do is set up the network environment. So since I'm connected to Wi-Fi, you want to disconnect your Wi-Fi because you don't want to take a chance on flashing the wrong thing or flashing the router through Wi-Fi. Very dangerous. Only through Ethernet do you want to do it. Wi-Fi is not reliable enough to do it. You're taking a chance if you do it, and you might make the situation worse than what you currently have. So I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi off, and now we're going to go set up the network. So now I've got no internet access or anything because, you know, I'm not connected to my internet connection. So right-click the network icon down here, whether it's Wi-Fi or not. Open up network and internet settings. And here you're going to go to Ethernet. All right. Now my motherboard has 2 Ethernet adapters, but as you can see here, one says not connected. So we're not going to number 2. We're going to number 1. So here we're going to go over here and change adapter options. And it'll become evident here which ones are connected, because you see a red X on all the ones that are not connected, right? So Ethernet says unidentified network. Now the reason for that, if you right click it and choose status, is, and it says connected to 1 gigabit, but no network access or no connectivity. But that's normal because the router is not connected. So here we're going to go to details. And you'll see I have a 169.254.211.204 number and no gateway, no DNS, no nothing. That is called an APIPA number. It's a default number that the computer gives it. It means nothing. You can't even go to that number to go see it. You have to change it. So we're going to give it, because the router is in a crippled mode right now, it can't even give you an IP address. You have to manually set it. So we're going to do that now. Let's go to properties. And then we're going to go to Internet Protocol version for TCP/IP v4. So double click that. And we're going to type in use the following IP. Here, just be very careful with the numbers and make sure you do them exactly like I do. Put the exact same numbers in and it'll work for you every time. 192.168.0.10. And then we're going to go to the next number and just click the box and it'll auto-populate with the right subnet mask, which is what you see there, 255 3 times and a 0. Then we're going to go to the default gateway, which is going to be 192.168.0.1, not 10, but 1. Again, just follow that, look at those numbers perfectly. Pause the video here if you want to keep them up so you can type them in, and hit OK. And then hit OK again. And here, if you now look at the details, you'll see the correct numbers showing up, right? IPv4, 192.168.0.10, 255, and then 0, then the 192.168.0.1. Now, if you ever want to know where your router is, it's the same number as a gateway. So if you come in here, look at your connection details, and look at your gateway, that's how you know where your router is. It's the same number. That's the IP address of the gateway, also the IP address of the router, because your router is not just, what do you call it, a router, it's a gateway too. So I'm going to do this quickly, disable it. That flushes out all the IP address that it used to have. So right click it, disable, and then right click it again and enable. Okay, and it will be connected. Now we'll go take a look at the status again. Of course, 1 gigabit. On my case, I have a gigabit network card. Then you go into the status and it's clean. All you have is the right numbers, right? 192, exactly what we put into the network connection. So now we're ready to go on that. So close it and close it. We're going to minimize this because we got to come back here and reset this back to the way it was, so it doesn't mess things up in the future, which it will if you don't reset it. All right, so here we can just, we'll open up a new tab. All right, let's type the address in, 192.168.0.1, enter, and there's a firmware upgrade page. So I believe this is time limited, so let's get going on it fast. We're going to choose a file, and it's going to DLINK. So under downloads, DLINK, and where I saved it, wherever you saved it, go get the bin file that you extracted. Has to be bin, can't be a zip file. Hit open, and then we're going to click on upload. Okay, now it may refresh and it may not, but at a certain point it should either A, give you a page with nothing on it, or a page that says successful. We'll see what happens here, right? It depends on what state your router is in, I believe, anyways. But as you can see, I've got the circle doing the circle waiting thing up here, and there we go. It says receive file, and it says the size of the file. Upload completed. The firmware is programming now. System will reboot automatically in a few minutes. Please wait a few moments. And again, don't play with the router at this point. Just let it be where it's going to be, just like I'm going to let it be. The amber light has stopped blinking, and now the amber light is solid. And what it will do eventually is give you a green light only. Now, mine is not connected to the internet, so you won't get two green lights. The second green light, it says, is a status light on connection to the internet, but we don't have that, so mine is only going to give us a green light when it's ready. And right now it's got a green light on it, so I'm going to hit on continue. And well, maybe I did it too soon, but as you can see here, I don't know if you can or not, green light. We'll try and get onto it here again. There we go, all by itself, right? So yours may or may not remember the old password. I'm just going to hit login here because by default it shouldn't have a password, so I'll see what happens. Yep, it doesn't. Now if you try to log in with no password and it says sorry, wrong, it's probably using your old password. And if you have that problem and you can't remember what the old password is, what you should do is, with the power on and the light on the green, just hit the, and I'll do it here, hit the reset button, hold it down, and eventually that light will change. There we go, to amber. Take the toothpick out, wait till it goes green again, and what you've done is you've set it back to a factory default by doing that, which means I'm going to have to, redo this here, but you'll see it here in a minute. I saw it blink there a little bit, and it should go back to green. The operative word being should, but we'll see. Hopefully you guys can see that. Not sure if you can see it, but it's amber right now. Ah, now it's green. That's a good sign. And let's go back. Enter. Back to 0.1. Yeah, takes a little bit. Saying I'm not connected, but I am. Give it one more shot here. There we go. So it takes a little time to boot up. Even though the green light is on, it's still, turning the wheels and getting itself up to speed. Now you can see that it's been reset, so it doesn't even ask for a password anymore. Now it's like straight out of the factory. So here you can go next and go through this process, or you can hit cancel, which I'm going to do. And that gets you into the router where you can manually set it. First thing you should do when you get in here is go to System, Admin, and put a password in here. I'll put one in for myself here, just to secure the router from any evil doers. When you connect it to the internet, it's almost like instant. They're going to try and take over it. Say never on the save password. I don't save passwords. So here we go. That's the first thing you need to do. And before you connect it to the internet, you should set up your wireless connection. So I believe that's back in setup, wireless settings. Go through the wireless connections settings, or use WPS, or do it manually, up to you. But do that before you get on the net, because I'm pretty sure it's an unsecured network before you do the setup. So at this point, the actual router is ready to go. So that's how you rescued it. Now, prior to this, I had DD-WRT in there, latest beta firmware, and it worked great. So I would say I'll probably make a video on how to put that in there, but this is the rescue of a DLINK router. And again, as far as I'm concerned, one of the nicer setups for rescuing the router that there is. And I guess the next thing you should do after doing all the setups is go back to Tools, go to Firmware, and download at least the latest firmware. And the hot fixes are a little tricky to put in. They're not the same. You don't just put a file in and hit update. It doesn't work that way on those. But there is instructions on how to do them, so you may want to do the hot fixes as well. I'm going to do a video on that as well, just to show everybody who's got a similar router, a DLINK router like this, how to do those hot fixes if it's available for your router. And I almost forgot, we got to set everything back the way we had it originally, back to its default. So we're going to turn on the internet down here, but first we're going to just go into the network settings and change those. So open network and internet settings here, right click your networking icon here in the bottom right, and go to Ethernet, change adapter options, and we see Ethernet network 3 here in our case, and go to properties and change the properties. Well, sorry, they're going a little fast, I know. Go to Internet Protocol version 4 and just double click that and obtain IP address automatically, obtain DNS server address automatically. Just check those radio buttons, hit OK and OK. And if you want to check and see if the router is giving you an IP address automatically, just go to status and you see that we're connected. And yes, I still don't have it connected to the internet, so we will not have any internet access. If I had plugged it into the internet, that top thing here would say internet access. Okay, so the IP address has changed because the router assigns them automatically. And now I got it 192.168.0.100. Still, the gateway is 1, DHCP is 1, and DNS is 1. It's automatic, it's working, so that's good. So we got that out of the way. And don't forget, down here we turned Wi-Fi off. Turn your Wi-Fi back on if you have turned it off. There you go. And that's it. We're back to normal. Your router should be in this state, working. You know, I said it. And if you have any issues with it, I would say in the video, just shortly, a while back in the video, I showed you how to reset the router to its default settings. You know, perhaps do that and try the rescue procedure again and see if the resetting it to the factory defaults sets it back to something that you can actually manage and get rescued. Okay, that's it. Okay, that's it for my video. So if you like this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a big favor. Give me a thumbs up in the bottom right, I believe. And also, if you like my content, want to see more of it, definitely subscribe to the channel and you know, hit the notification bell when you subscribe to the channel. That gives you a notification every time I put a new video. Again, comments, suggestions, questions, anything like that, put it in the comment section below. I look at them regularly, usually and especially after I upload a video to see what's going on there. And also, again, affiliate links in the video description. As I said, they don't cost you anything. They help me, you know, with a small commission on every sale of everything you buy from Amazon through those links. So please use those. Do me a favor, you know, and help me out with that. Other than that, I hope you're healthy. I hope you're having a great day. And thanks again for watching and supporting my efforts here on YouTube.